Hello class, this is Mr. Broussard and I'm sending you this video for the fifth week of our Composition 1 course for the fall of 2020. I'll just get right to it. Anything we had planned for this week, we're scrapping. We are reworking on the example essay. I didn't even get halfway through one of the classes and I started noticing patterns that were very, very bad. As far as the essays were concerned. And then I went and did great. I looked at the rest of that classes and then looked at the other classes and I saw a lot of the same issues. Part of that could be my fault because I'm generally a lot clearer on my instructions about what I want and more importantly, what I do not want on these essays, but due to my illness, I haven't been as clear. It's been basically just try to get the information to you and get the video out because that's when I have the energy. But having seen what I've seen and been unable to get through what I needed to get through, I've decided to scrap the rest. And I'm going to open up an example makeup essay box. And you are to work on nothing but the example essay. I'm moving all of the things. I'm moving the narrative descriptive essay to a later date. You won't even have a journal this week. We need to work on nothing but the example essay. Make sure that it is exactly how it needs to be because you don't want the grades I have given, nor do you want the grades that I would have given had I actually graded some of these other ones, because there are certain mistakes that are just unforgivable. Um, they're called fatal errors for a reason, and certain ones that can't be there, and certain just little things that need to not be there. The first thing I needed to do, and this one's probably on me for not being clearer about this. When I told you to write about something that you believe in, I should have made it clear to a lot of you, actually all of you, that you are not to then say in the essay, I believe, blah, 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 blah. That's usually one of the first things I make sure students avoid. Never write, I believe, or I think, or in my opinion, or in this essay I will, or when it comes to the end of the essay in conclusion. Never do that. It is needless fluff. Needless fluff that does not need to be in there. Why? Because it better be what you believe. It's your essay. But I needed to be clear on that because I think what happened was when I said, oh, write about something you believe in, but back it up with, you know, life events that are the reason you believe in the thing. And unfortunately, so many of you honed in on the word believe. In fact, I know exactly what happened. Because I said that, you all wrote that because I think you're used to prompts all the time. Just basically told, hey, write this. And I told you specifically, I was not going to give you, you were going to prompt yourself. You need to learn to be able to do that. And unfortunately, you all, not all of you, but a lot of you, latched onto the believe part. And then I started seeing I believes everywhere, which is the last thing I wanted. The last. Never write I believe, never write I think, or in my opinion, or anything like that. It better be what you believe. It is your essay. Don't say in this essay I will. Well, it better be what you're doing in this essay you will because it's your essay. And then again, in the end, in conclusion, well, it better be concluding. It's in the concluding paragraph. You learned that when you went over the chapters about what paragraphs you deal with when you're dealing with a thesis paragraph, what is a body paragraph, and then what is a concluding paragraph. So it's understood if it's the last paragraph, it's the concluding paragraph. When you write the words I believe, I think, or in my opinion, you're not reassuring your reader. In fact, you're doing quite the opposite. When a reader sees that, their first thought is, are you trying to convince me or are you trying to convince yourself? I don't believe any student that would say it, I believe, because that's the first sign of you're trying to force something. Remember, in an essay that you are writing, you are the ultimate authority on everything that is in that essay that is not sourced somebody else. And of course, you're not allowed to have source material. So everything in that essay is going to be you. Why? For no other reason than your name's at the top of the page. And to that, by the way, there's a few of you that have not understood this yet. I've written your comments, but you need to understand this. When you put your name in the header, you put your first name and your last name. Both need to be there. No, your last name being in the page header does not count towards that. Your last name needs to be in that page header. It needs to have the numeral alongside with it, the correct numeral. But then in your regular header, your first and last name needs to be there. My first and last name needs to be there. Then a class name designation, and then the date in European style. So like the day would be 23/9/2020 or 23 September 2020, whichever you'd want. But do note that's different when you get to the composition part of the text part. of whatever you're writing than you would do an American style September 23rd, 2020. But in your header, your date needs to be day, month, year with no comma. So today would be 23 September 2020, no comma. I don't have that. That's a little to the side, but I do want to make sure I go over that because I'm concerned that I'm not going over these very detailed things because of my health, and my concerns were founded because of what I got back. So yeah, do not write "I believe" anywhere. In fact, just tell you right now, some of you may have seen the rubric, some of you may have seen the ones I did grade, and you may be wondering why the grade you got. And I explained some of them, others I didn't bother explaining because I knew I was going to have them to do this. So I decided I'd scrap it and go ahead and send the video. When you write "I believe" or "I think" or anything in any part of your essay, you lose at least 4 points because you're losing 4 points because you've weakened your overall topic. Because, again, are you trying to convince your reader or are you trying to convince yourself you believe this thing? When you have it in your thesis or concluding paragraphs, or do the in conclusion thing, you're losing 8 points. Because you've not only weakened the overall essay itself, you have weakened the very core of what your essay is supposed to be about. Because remember, your thesis statement is the controlling idea of the entire essay. It is the topic or idea and your thoughts and opinion on that topic or idea, basic. So when you have the "I believe" there, it anywhere near it, actually, it weakens it. And then when you pull it off in the actual thesis statement, which all, by the way, needs to be the very last sentence of your thesis paragraph. These are all things you should have read when you went over your chapters. It needs to be authoritative nature. Don't say, "I believe the walls in this room are white." Say, "The walls in this room are white." Notice how much more authoritative that was. "I believe the walls in this room are white." Then, even though you see the walls in this room, you start thinking, is it white? Is it cream? It might be cream. I'm colorblind, by the way. Hell, it could be purple. I once had a classroom where I kept seeing the walls from this white for 3 years before I had a student raise their hand very sheepishly and say, "Sir, the walls in this room are purple." And I didn't know if they didn't want to contradict me or if I was that authoritative where I made them believe the walls in this room were white even though they were purple. But that's the importance of that. You are the ultimate authority on anything that goes on that composition that is not sourced somebody else. And again, you're only going to have one sourced composition. You're going to write from me. Argumentative is going to be the last one. And again, for no other reason than that your name is at the top of that page. That is all you need to be the ultimate authority on anything you write. So act like it. Write like you're the authority. Be authoritative in your writing. And when you have that wishy-washy language, whenever you have the "I believes" or "I thinks" or "in my opinions" and all that, it just kills it. I understand why you do it because you were taught that in high school. I've learned that. I know that because I was taught that in high school. I had one high school teacher that tried to break me out of it. And what she couldn't complete, the professors at Ole Miss did very quickly. So I want to make sure you don't do these things because it will affect your grade. Those 8s and 4s going away. And actually adding one more point off, so it's really 5 or 9 points off because it is grammatically incorrect. So you actually lose a point off of that level as well. So stop doing it. That's one of the reasons why the grades were so low. Another reason the grades were so low, and I thought I'd said something about this. I think y'all may have glazed over, so let me fully emphasize this. You were never, I say never, with rare exceptions, and I will let you know if those exceptions apply, never write in the second person. I repeat, with rare exceptions, and none of those exceptions apply in this example essay, let me tell you that, never write in the second person. It is physically impossible by the laws of nature and physics for an individual writing a composition to be in the second person. What does that mean? Except for those rare exceptions. And all the rare exceptions I will let you know about, I will let you know as we go along, will involve being in quote marks. Either directly quoted from literature, directly quoted from a movie, directly quoted for when you do get the source material in the argumentative, or a direct quote from a character that you will come up with when you do get to your narrative. So not yet. So it doesn't apply here. Never write the word you, your, yours, or any form of the word you. Let me repeat that. With the rare exceptions, other than those rare exceptions, never write the word you, your, yours, or any form of the word you. Let me let you know this as well. I was nice giving the grades I did. That's how bad it was. My rule is every time you have that, it is a fatal error, and my grading system on the fatal errors, along with, again, writing in second person, comma splices, run-on sentences, not having complete sentences. You do any of those things, you are to lose a level on your rubric when it comes to the grammar, spelling, punctuation usage. And each level, the first 4 levels actually, is 7 points each. The first 4 times, it's 7 points off. If it happens the 5th time, you only lose 4 points because that's all the rubric will let me take off. And at that point, I don't even bother looking at that anymore because you lost all available points on grammar, spelling, punctuation usage, and the accommodation part under it, which deals with typographical issues. Let me say it now. If you end up losing all your points on the typographical, it doesn't mean you didn't write in word processing, although some of you actually didn't do that either. And you definitely earned a 0 doing that. It means that's what I kind of use to hit you a little bit for the mistakes, but not beating you majorly. And basically what I say is the first 4 mistakes, okay, you're making mistakes, but 1, 1, 1, 1. So it becomes 1 point, then 2 points, 3 points, then 4 points. Once I see it a 5th time, that's a pattern. And therefore, that resets back to the full 5 points, but then you lose a 7-point level on grammar, spelling, punctuation usage. Now, that can combine with the fatal errors in which you lose 7 off anyways, and then eventually only 4. But eventually, you lose all 32 points. I don't bother looking at grammar, spelling, punctuation, and usage anymore after that because it's a waste of my time because I can't take any more points away from you, and you should be very thankful that rubric saves you. But that also means the best you're going to do is a 68. And that's not good. It's a high D grade. And while it can help you pass, a D would pass this course and could help you get an associate's here. It won't if your associate's here is in English. No, it won't be acceptable, obviously. Certain other associates you will have here, you'll have to do it again because you must have a C. And to be completely honest, if you have a plan to go to a major college or university, they'll make you take it again. They're not going to accept a D in a freshman level English course and want you to have anything to do with any discipline at a major college or university because, trust me, you're going to be writing a lot. And they're going to want you to have the skills that you need, and a D will not be acceptable. What will happen is you would be able to leave here with an associate's, but when you get to that university, they'd make you take it again. So that's why. So if you're at a 68 on your essays, and that's the best, by the way, the best, that means you haven't lost anything on any other levels for whatever reason. It could be less, obviously. It could go down to a mid D, a low D, or straight failure if it goes 59 or below. So these are things that we need to make sure we correct because the fatals will nail you quickly. And I was actually even nicer about the youth thing because I decided, all right, I don't know if I went over it with them as validly. So I basically said every 2 of these gained you the 7 points. Well, by that point, I learned it was still knocking all your points off. So it pretty much didn't matter. Again, by the late nature of laws in physics, an individual can never be in the second person if they're writing a composition. It could be I'm writing this, or even if I'm outside of myself, he is writing this. It can't be you is writing this because that just doesn't work. Or you, right? It does not work that way. The exceptions deal with the quoted things that I've noted before because those characters can be in the second person. Either characters you made up, characters in literature or movies that can be the second person, or the direct source material, quoted material, which you will have in an argumentative, it can more likely will be second person because you'll be getting a source material from another person who is in the second person. But it is impossible to write a composition and be legitimately in the second person. And by the way, just to let you know, you're supposed to maintain first person or third person. You can start writing in first person, that's fine, but you must maintain writing in first person. You can start writing in third person but you must maintain throughout. I will say this, when you get into more scientific writings, they're going to want it to be more in the third person almost exclusively because it's about the information, it's not about the writer. And you'll notice those differences when we get more into APA. Whereas in your MLA stuff, things you'll be more creative, like your second essay, The emphasis is a little more on the writer themselves, and so first-person narratives are things that can be done, though you can write in the third person, and it's sometimes recommended that you do so. But whichever one you choose, it's fine, but you must maintain. Must maintain first throughout or must maintain third throughout. You don't revert between the two, and you never lapse in the second person. Never lapse in the second person. So that is another issue that we must rectify. Another one, well, this one's on y'all, because I know I was clear on this one. All compositions must be double-spaced. They must be in MLA 8th edition format. You must have a proper header, page header, and title on the first page, and proper page headers on any second and subsequent pages. The full page header needs to be there, so you must include the numeral of the page. One of you does it in Roman numerals. I guess that's okay, but I prefer you do it in an Arabic numeral. You must have your header, though, in the correct order. Student name, instructor name, class name, date in European style. And then you must have a title. Now, this is another thing that I noted on the title. And I thought I talked about it, but again, maybe I didn't. I probably should have just watched the video again to see if I did these things, but at this point, it's just go ahead and go over it again, because I'm giving y'all, well, some of y'all. I'll go into that. Some of y'all are getting the second chance. Some of you aren't. Your title, what you should never do is make it boring and academic. And to that end, don't title your journal Journal Entry 1, Journal Entry 2. Nor in the journals do you title it Water, Fear, Spring. Who wants to read that? Who wants to read Water? I have no clue what it's about. Okay, it's something about water, something about fear, something about spring. Your title is the first bit of creativity your reader sees. Everything above it is very structural. Page header, all that does is say your last name and the number of the page. Regular header, it just says your name, the instructor's name, the class name, and the date. But the title is the first bit of creativity your reader sees. If your reader sees a boring title, they're going to expect a boring read, and they will find it. It's bad when in the journals, all you have as your title is the broad topic they give you. There's a reason I gave you the broad topic, and this kind of plays to why we saw these issues in the actual essays themselves. You're so used to the prompts and being told exactly what to do that when given the freedom and the responsibility to come with these things on your own, or given a little guidance, like with the prompt as far as the journal is concerned, but then told to narrow down your focus, even though I did say something about that, I do know, you freak out because you've been trained not to think. You were trained not to think, and therefore that comes through. High schools train students not to think. That is just what it is. And I've been dealing with that a whole 9 years here. So there's another area I should have emphasized more. Because another thing I see that is when the title is water, it never fails. It's almost like you feel you have to have the word water in every single sentence or every other sentence. Truth is, I would enjoy it very much so that the word water never appeared in the journal about water. Because when that happens, what happens is, what was the journal about? Water. What about water? All I know is they wrote water a bunch of times. They wrote fear a bunch of times. Or the title was Water and Fear. And it puts you in the mood to not want to read. And that's bad. Same thing as if your essay title was something very bland and boring. Again, be creative. Don't be too cutesy, but be creative with your title so it intrigues your reader to want to read what you're putting there. And so that is bad when it's boring, but it's even worse when it's academic. Journal Entry 1, Reader Response 2. When you get into Comp 2, you'll have reader responses. Example essay. Some of you named it example essay. Who the hell wants to read example essay? I'm paid to read example essays, and I don't want to read example essay. You put me in a mood, this is boring. I don't like being bored. And that, again, would be worse. But even worse than that, and some of you did this too, and I know I tell people not to do something, and then sometimes not only to do it, they do it like if you're right into the ditch. You titled it Journal Entry 1, water. You violated two different things there. You did both things wrong. No, don't do it. Again, that would even be worse. But even worse than that, and some of you did this, not having a title overall, not having a title at all. Because then it's minus 20. Basically, every level, boarding title is minus 5, academic title is minus 10, boarding and academic title minus 15, no title minus 20. It's actually minus 25 if you leave the blank space line there, because then you have a blank space line, which is another thing that I know I've told you all about, but I will have to reemphasize. Avoid needless blank space lines. Every single line in all compositions you write, unless notified otherwise, note there's always exceptions, but it doesn't apply here. Every single line in the composition, from the very first page header to the very last bit of the content of the text in which you write, must have some text on it. Every single one. There's not to be a whole blank space line. When you do that, every time you do it, minus 5. So it's bad to do it between your page header and your header. It's bad to do it between your header and your title. It's bad to do it between the title and the text. It's worse to do it between paragraphs. Why? You can make the mistake once and you lose 5 points. You can make the mistake on both sides of your title and that's 10 points. But if you have a 5-paragraph essay and between every paragraph is a blank space line, you've lost 20 points, and I haven't even looked at the actual composition itself. That's 20%, 20 points out the window, and I haven't actually graded the thing at all yet. So you need to avoid that as well. I'm trying to think of everything because there were a bunch of stuff that just like, and again, normally more thorough. I mean, part of what is the reason is I've been reemphasized. Hey, keep your videos small, and unfortunately, what happens is when you keep your videos short, things get dropped. We're only in 22 minutes now, but I would rather go long now than have to give the grades that I was giving just now, because it's not good. So I want to make sure these things are done properly. Double spaced compositions. Write it in Microsoft Word. A few of you got zeros because the file came back all weird and I couldn't read the thing. I'm not going to force my way through a thing where you have some text that makes sense and all of a sudden it's like squiggle lines, hieroglyphics there. Sorry, not going to happen. One of you didn't come through at all. I know there was a file there, but it's in no way readable on my screen right here, and therefore you got a 0. There is something else I need to let you know about. Of the 2 classes, there are 2 of you that are no longer, well, I say no longer students, that's actually wrong. You technically are still students, but you have failed the course. One of you already knows about it and has freaked out about it and then realized that you've done wrong. And so you know what you've done and done accordingly. One of you keeps still turning work. One of you plagiarized your first 2 journals and has since plagiarized a 3rd journal, although I'll give you credit, you didn't plagiarize the essay, but it doesn't matter because you failed this course. You plagiarized the first 2 compositions of the course. You have failed the course. Stop turning in work. It will not help you. It is a waste of your time. I advise that you focus on your other classes, this student, because you failed this course. There's nothing you can do. Nothing you can do. Well, you do have one option. I was under the impression that, and this will be true after a certain date, I don't know when the date is, that if you fail the course due to academic integrity violations, you have failed and you will be kept in the course regardless. That is true, but only after a certain date. I want to say that's a date in October, probably around, let me look, say around October 17 or so. That if you have your second plagiarized work after the 17th, the F stands no matter what. You're kept in the class and you fail, and there's nothing you can do about it. I have learned, because one of the other students did inquire, and we actually have it to where if it's before that certain date, you can withdraw. So my advice to that one student who has failed this course, two things. 1, stop turning in work. 2, go through the proper channels to withdraw from my course. If you don't, you will fail. Technically, you can stay in this course if you have a plagiarism F, but it assures you your F. I would rather you withdraw from the course now that I know the thing it can be done, so it can save your GPA. So, and by the way, this is only applies to 2 people right now, although a couple of you have plagiarized some other things. If you have, your one get out of jail free card is gone. So if you do it again, you fail. But just for those of you who might be tempted to plagiarize, turning in is real, it works, and it will catch you. Whatever way you try to do it, whether it's straight rip and read, whether you're just replacing every so many words with a synonym, whether you're taking the basics of somebody else's work and then adding details to kind of fit your own life, which I think is what happened with one of you. I mean, you said yourself that the actual story does fit what happened in your life, and then you added your details in later. That's still plagiarism, even if some of it is you, even if all of it is you. But the original idea, because remember this, when you plagiarize, it's not the words you're stealing, though you are taking the words themselves, it's the idea. And even if the idea is the exact same idea that you have to do it in enough of a creative way to where you're not straight taking somebody else's work. And what the student was like, they basically, I think they weren't as secure in their own writing, so they used other people's work as the framework of the writing and added themselves in there, thinking that would help them out, because, hey, this other person's work is quality and mine might be as quality, but then it kind of evens itself out. No, what you've done is you still plagiarized their work. And because it was a second of actually 3 things that were plagiarized, this student actually plagiarized 4 things. There was a 4th thing that turned in as plagiarized, but after 2, it doesn't matter. No, that's still plagiarism. Y'all really need to understand the academic integrity policy is a part of your syllabus, and you need to reread that. You all need to, because when I let you know you plagiarized, and then I get the whole, I didn't do that, I didn't. No. I've been doing this for 9 years. I know what it is. Your arguments are meaningless. When I tell you you've done this, and I will point exactly to where it is and how you did it. I'll tell you what website you got it from. That's what Turnitin does. So please stop lying. Stop saying, it may not be a lie, you believe it, but it's wrong. So 2 of you have failed this course, although 1 of you did withdraw. The other 1 of you stopped doing work and withdraw from this course. So you will not have that buckshot to your GPA. And the rest of you, believe me when I tell you, I will have no problem. And if it's after that certain date, which I do believe is October 17th, that F will stand and I will hold you here. I will hold you in to the class and make sure you fail. So please, don't try me. And then there's, and to that, by the way, the only 2 students who plagiarized the essay are the 2 students that have failed. Everybody else, I don't think anybody else, it was their first violation. I think other people who had first violations were on journals, and I think they got it and they understand it. Now they know not to do that anymore. So that doesn't apply to this particular essay as far as having a second chance, because if had 1 of you plagiarized the essay, but it was your first plagiarism, you were not eligible to redo this essay. That also includes any student who didn't turn in a first draft of the essay, or the original essay. If you didn't do it the first time, you do not get the chance to redo it. Your 0 stands. This is only for those students who actually did an essay. Now, some of you did well, actually, and the ones I graded. And if you like to grade the way it is, it's fine. Now, if you would like to improve on some of the little things that were wrong, you can do that as well. You have that right, and improve your grade even more. So, but yeah, if you did not do it the first time, you don't get the second chance. Your 0 stands. If there had been a plagiarism 0 of someone who was not done it twice and therefore failed the course, I wouldn't allow that as well. Some of you, it was a file issue. I will allow you because you at least you did something. You just did it awfully, or didn't have the right file or whatever. 1 of you turned something in, but your name's not on it. That's a 0. I will give you the second chance, but you need to make sure, like, your regular header asks that your first and last name is there. Your first and last name, my first and last name, the class name and the date in European style. You lack a few of those things, it'll cost you a lot of points. You lack your name on it. Yes, I know in that upper right-hand corner, your name's there. I don't look at that. I treat that sheet like that is the only thing right in front of me, like they used to back in the day, where you had to grade what was in front of you. Basically, what happened, you put a 0 there, and then when you figured out who had turned something in, you put the 0 there because they didn't put their name on it. You're getting a second chance as well. Don't blow it. Do it properly. Now, some of the issues that may have been in your essay, I wouldn't noted because when I don't know, when I see there's no name, I just zero, click next. So, so some of you are getting the second chance. As long as you turn something in and didn't plagiarize it, you're getting a second chance. Take advantage of it. Take advantage in all the ways. All the things that I've already noted, clean those up. A lot of things I didn't note. You need to get whatever help you need to get. Go to the Learning Lab Writing Center, whether it be physically going there, personally going there, or doing something virtual with them, talking on the phone, doing something through Zoom or a video or whatever. Correct the things that I noted before. I will open these new boxes and they will be open through, let's just say Monday night. Technically it'll be 2:59 a.m. on Tuesday morning, but let's just say Monday night. By Monday night before you go to bed, have your essay cleaned up, whatever needed to be cleaned, and then have that new file turned into the new box before you go to bed Monday night. So today is Wednesday, I believe. So you have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday to correct what needs to be corrected. And that's all you will have for this week. You will not have to read anything else. You will not have to write anything else. If I have something already set for these dates, I will change the dates. I will move the journals. I will move the narrative, illustrative essay. Sorry, the narrative, descriptive. And those grades will be similar to what you got this time, maybe even worse, because there's more content asked for in those later essays. And this class will start off on the wrong foot and continue on the wrong foot, and that's not going to be good for anybody. So correct what I've asked. Again, I'll reopen the box immediately after I get done with this video and post it. So please, if you have any questions, email me. I'll go into it right now. And I hate this because obviously part of the issue we're having is I'm not able to be as fully on with you as much as I'd like because of my health issue. Well, if you have a question, unfortunately, I'm about to leave because I got to see a specialist, unfortunately, this afternoon. So send the email, but there's a good chance it won't be answered till tomorrow morning. That's fine. You still have plenty of time to work on it. I will answer those emails to make sure, but send the email sometime either today to where I can answer tomorrow, either sometime tomorrow or until about 11 o'clock on Friday. If you have any questions, please correct what I've asked. Please do what I need you to do. And if I feel the need to send another video later this week, I will. If not, I'll send one early next week. Hope you all have a good day.